Previously on the Rod Pedersen Show.
What exactly is the Jeff Jackson thing? Because people have told me that he's now the GM and Ken Holland's being shuffled out. You just said Holland will make a move or he may not at the trade deadline. When the Oilers were here in Sunrise, I was in the press box. Ken Holland looks every bit the man in charge. So what exactly is the deal there?
Yeah, so Jeff Jackson's a CEO. He replaced Bob Nicholson, right? So he oversees everything. Does if Ken Holland's going to make a move and stuff, does he consult with him at the end? Yes, but I don't see Jeff Jackson coming in and all of a sudden being the guy in my conversations with people that has neutered Ken Holland. I think like a lot of things, Rod, you mentioned earlier. Oh yeah, Stuart Skinner sucks. He's never going to be good. Some things get overblown at times. I think it's been overblown that Ken Holland is a guy who's not doing anything. I think that's false. I think he's heavily involved in things, but you now have someone above you that you have to, present things to and answer to. Does that mean Jackson could kibosh something? Maybe, but I think it'd be more of he now has a voice in the conversation more than, and I don't think his voice though is necessarily trumping Ken Holland's voice.
Get ready for the Rod Pedersen Show.
The question is, should Sheldon Keefe be fired, the head coach of the Leafs? I'm saying yes, just because. Why not? Fire him! Am I doing it right? Wow, 53% say no on YouTube. That's a more polarizing answer than I thought, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it'd be a landslide one way or the other. This surprises me that it's that close.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Yes, it is. Hi, everybody. Welcome up inside your favorite daytime sports talk show coming at you live on WQEE Radio, Metro Atlanta, your southern home of sports and talk. Game Plus Television and the streams. You know what? You would think in a way that it's been a day for us, and I'm going to explain why you could think that it's been a day, but it really hasn't. Clark on vacation. He may or may not be watching right now. Darren DuPont on assignment, doing the Provincial Women's Curling Championships. And we, through a mixed up who is going to be opening the show with us. Put it all on me. Put it all on me. Let's do that. That's what my guy Cody Fajardo said one time, which doesn't usually end well, but today, put it all on me. So here's what's happening. Andrew Hustler Paterson is going to join us in segment 2. After this next break in 20 minutes time, Andrew Hustler Paterson is going to join us from Winnipeg Sports Talk, and he'll be with me for a good chunk of hour 1. And then in hour 2, hockey analyst, the very popular Serena Taylor is going to be with us for a couple of segments. And then we're going to go down to Anaheim, Southern California, and chat with Sweet Annie O'Donnell, to talk about the Anaheim Ducks and the LA Kings and all the rest. In the meantime and in between time, we have some breaking news from the Canadian Football League that's very big news as far as I'm concerned. Actually, a couple items, and some NHL stuff and a lot of stuff to get to today, including I did get my Matthew Tkachuk bobblehead doll last night. So not disappointed there at the Florida Panthers' home loss to the Detroit Red Wings. And spent some quality time with the ageless Doug MacLean, the former head coach of both the Florida Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets. So I'm good to tell stories with you for a lot of today. So with Clark gone, Tuna, can you hit the quick 6 show horn, please? Or whoever does it back there, or Director Jordan, whoever's at it. So listen, I can clearly handle this for sure for the opening 15 minutes and a lot of hour 1. But that will not preclude you from writing in 902-518-3033, the Sober Carpenter text line. Sober Carpenter non-alcoholic craft beers. So you can crack one today if you want, like right now if you want. Some morning wherever you are, afternoon out here in the Eastern time zone, 902-518-3033 to join the program or write in. So what we do every day is has become popular. We call it the big story. What's the big story in your vortex, your purview? And for me, it's the National Hockey League until the CFL stuff dropped into my lap. And last night it was the NFL and the news that Mike McCarthy's coming back with the Dallas Cowboys. There were only 2 NHL games on Wednesday night. One was here in Sunrise, and I was there. Dylan Larkin scored a power play goal, 109 into overtime, and the Detroit Red Wings beat the Florida Panthers 3-2, snapping a 10-game losing streak in the head-to-head series. Now, a lot of you don't care, but a lot of you do. Paul Maurice was visibly shaken after the game in his media scrum. I watched it. I wasn't in the scrum, but I was at the game. If you go to our Instagram account, Cats and Bolts, you'll see he basically said 3-on-3 in overtime or 4-on-3 isn't hockey. But the Florida Panthers have lost 3 in a row, and they're reeling. They're reeling. Any team, when you lose 1, let alone 3 in a row in the NHL, it's a problem. Paul Maurice refused to answer some questions last night from the reporters. He got a little away from what he's normally like. So that's the panic situation here. That's the big story here. Panthers on a 3-game losing streak. Somebody's horn's going off. It's been a day. Can you hear it? Because I certainly can. But what we say in the recovery business is if you're having a day, start your day over. And that would be real nice if the guy would shut his horn off. In Newark, New Jersey, Cole Caulfield put in a rebound with 4:31 to play, and Montreal beat New Jersey after squandering a 2-goal lead early in the 3rd period. So those were just the 2 games last night. I would invite some audience participation in this. So the Buffalo, who was Buffalo supposed to play last night? Was it Ottawa? The game that was supposed, whatever it was postponed because of bad weather and a snow dump in the Buffalo area. So what I heard was they picked up the Florida-Detroit game, but they didn't have any play-by-play announcers. I had friends writing me saying, this is not good. It's like the NHL version of the Manning cast on Monday nights with what ESPN tries to do. It's just a couple of announcers. I'm assuming it was Anson Carter and Biz or something talking about the game. It's bad. Oh, it was Chicago at Buffalo was what it was supposed to be. But because the game was postponed, they came to the Florida game and didn't call the play-by-play. But I didn't watch it, the telecast, because I was here. So if it was as bad as they say, please let me know, give me your thoughts. But I can't confirm or deny because I didn't watch. But of more interest is tonight in the National Hockey League. There are 11 games, and the big ones really always involve the Canadian teams. The Edmonton Oilers go after a franchise record 12th consecutive victory when they're home to the Seattle Kraken tonight. The Arizona Coyotes are at the Vancouver Canucks. Or, as somebody said here yesterday, the Canucks. Serena will explain when she joins us in hour 2. But the big game is the Toronto Maple Leafs at the Calgary Flames tonight. And you know, later on, we will pick our winners for tonight. No DuPont, because he's off on assignment covering curling. So Serena and I will do this. We'll do the Bet Regal breakaway bets. Who's going to win tonight? And I can tell you right now, I think Toronto's going to win in Calgary. The Leafs have lost 4 in a row. The pressure is on them big time. And before we go any further into that game, that is our poll question today. I think we're doing it like once a week now and probably will until we hit the playoffs. The poll question daily is brought to you by Key Auto Group. At Key Auto Group, we're driven by safety. Experience peace of mind with our comprehensive multi-point inspections. Visit keyautogroup.ca for automotive excellence. I need a little help with this. The question is, who is Canada's best NHL team? Who's the best NHL team in Canada? I need some help with this. Up until the other night, yeah, I've been saying Winnipeg all along. I don't need your help. False alarm. I don't need anybody's help with this. I can do it on my own. 67% of you saying it's the Winnipeg Jets, and I would agree. Bill Parcells said it first. John Lynch popularized it. Your record is what you are. Winnipeg Jets are the #1 team in the NHL the last I looked. Yeah. We'll get to your CFL news. Don't get your panties in a bunch. And then the poll just jumped off my screen, so. Reg in Winnipeg says that the Jets were not good on 3-on-3 when Pomo was coaching here. No surprise he still hasn't figured it out. Oh, boy. I don't want to get into the Winnipeg Paul Maurice thing. I don't. But I'll say this. I was talking to somebody in Calgary this morning, somebody that I respect a lot in the media there. And the vibe is this, because we're very big in Alberta. We get a lot of viewers in Alberta, split between Oilers and Flames fans. And they're saying that the Flames organization is split. One half of the organization wants to tank it, the rebuild, scrap it. And the other half, and this isn't new, I don't think, the other half wants to, let's, again, play our best. Let's see how that works out. Not deal off the assets, get into the playoffs and make a little money. That's not new of what's going on in Calgary, but I guess that's what they're talking about in the media. The fact of the matter is, they're too good to tank because you can trade the expiring Elias Lindholms and the Noah Hannafins and even the Chris Tanevs. Get rid of Jacob Markstrom if you want, but you still got the whopping contract belonging to Jonathan Huberdeau, which incidentally, that trade, as you sit here and watch Matthew Tkachuk play on a nightly basis and do great things for the Florida Panthers, that trade's going to come up all the time. Tkachuk for Jonathan Huberdeau. And as one hockey insider said to me last night at the game, Brad Treliving didn't do his homework in Calgary. He didn't do his homework. Alexander Barkov, the captain of the Panthers, was the biggest reason Huberdeau was having all of his success and all-star seasons because Barkov did all the work and Huberdeau was just there to race up and down the wing and tip in the garbage. And nobody's doing that for him in Calgary. He's not the player they thought that he was, and I think that's pretty evident. Take that for what you will. Moving on to point 3 already, Mike McCarthy will get another chance to end a nearly 3-decade stretch without a deep playoff run for the Dallas Cowboys. A decision that ends 3 days of intense speculation over the coach's future. Owner and general manager Jerry Jones said Wednesday night that McCarthy will be back for a 5th season after a stunning 48-32 wild card loss to Green Bay. Cowboys fan here? For now. I know there are other Cowboys fans that are watching right now because they tell me that are upset that I'm threatening and probably will jump off the Cowboys bandwagon, but it's idiotic, inane decisions like this. To be honest, keeping Mike McCarthy. Jeff Reinbold said it the other day on this show. In pro football, you are measured by playoff success, end of story. Not regular season success. And I'm sure Jerry Jones has his reasons. They don't want to keep going through coaches. I get it. They can't keep going through quarterbacks because they've got Dak signed long-term, long money. They want to show some stability there, and I get that, but when there's better coaches out there, and money is not an issue to the Dallas Cowboys, believe me, it's not. To pay Mike McCarthy out is not a problem. We see that in the CFL, where the owners and GMs are afraid to buy out coaches' contracts because they simply can't afford it. That's not a problem in Dallas. I don't like the decision, but it's not my team. And Jerry loves the fact that he can just pull everybody's strings like a puppeteer. I'm going to push this next topic until the next segment when Hustler Rama joins us, the biggest Kansas City Chiefs fan, and I still can't believe. I wouldn't drive 1,315 kilometers to go anywhere, period, really, ever. But he did it on the weekend. Our next guest, Andrew Hustler Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk, to watch the Kansas City Chiefs beat the Miami Dolphins 25-7 at Arrowhead. And I don't think he regrets it. What do Hustler Paterson and Taylor Swift have in common? They were both in the same stadium Sunday in Kansas City. How about that, guys? So your NFL weekend divisional games are Saturday, Houston at Baltimore. Ravens favored by 9. Green Bay at San Francisco, 49ers favored by 9. Sunday, Tampa Bay at Detroit, Lions favored by 6.5. And Kansas City at Buffalo, Bills favored by 3. And I want to get to the bottom of this with Hustler because he's the biggest Chiefs fan, supporter, and analyst I know. In Buffalo, they think they finally will beat Kansas City this year because they got him in Buffalo. They don't got to go on the road to play him. And to me, the field's the same size in both places. I'm not sure I go along with that. By the way, Canada's top men's curling teams are thick into the season, and their eyes are firmly focused on a trip to Regina in late February for the 2024 Montana's Brier presented by AGI. Single draw tickets are on sale now, and they range in price from $24 to $70, depending on the draw and your seat. where it is in the arena. Youth tickets are just $9.99 for all draws. Curling Canada is committed to providing affordable options so the entire family can enjoy this world-class event. Get your tickets now. Don't wait at curling.ca/tickets. So here's the big news from the CFL of which I speak. Number one, the story that we broke, courtesy the Hughes Sports Podcast out of Calgary. The Canadian, and we're going to spend more time on this later, believe me, but the Canadian Football League has voided the contract of Arlen Bruce IV. Some are writing into me saying on Twitter, who is he? You might know his dad, Arlen Bruce III, two-time Grey Cup champion. Arlen Bruce IV was ineligible to play this season due to an indefinite suspension handed down by the NCAA after Bruce was caught gambling on sports as a player at the University of Iowa from 21 to 22. He transferred to OSU in January but was never cleared to play and is now turning the page on his college career by signing a professional contract this week. That contract was in December with the Edmonton Elks, and the CFL has voided it. Apparently that's not a news story, but it just came to light today. So in the time that we have here, I got a problem with it. CFL used to be a league of second chances. I know the CFL, to my vision, is not what it was and not what I grew up with. You think that it is, but it's not from, but I've seen behind the curtain. It's not. It used to be a league of second chances. Now, that's one thing. What do they say? We just don't want the headache. But the agents are into this now, and obviously it's given the football people something to talk about on an otherwise quiet day. And they're saying, let's not forget Arlen Bruce III, Arlen Sr., let's just say, is the one that brought the concussion lawsuit forth towards the CFL for the concussions he suffered during his career. Does this have a bearing on Arlen Bruce IV, Arlen Jr.'s contract being voided by the CFL? Let's say it does or it doesn't, that don't matter. If you voided it simply because of the gambling as a player suspension from the NCAA, and I'm told this came down from the commissioner, Randy Ambrosi. You didn't make a mistake, Randy, as a young man? Never? I know you're a smart guy. Maybe you didn't. But speaking as a guy that did, I'd hate to have been held accountable for the rest of my life because of mistakes I made as a young man. And that appears to be what they're doing with Arlen Bruce IV, so I have a huge problem with it. I'll kick this around with Hustler when he joins us. And if it has anything to do with Senior's lawsuit, that's even worse. My opinion. And really big news, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have traded quarterback Drew Brown to the Ottawa Redblacks for a fifth-round pick in the 2024 draft. Brown is scheduled to become a free agent on February 13th, and by trading for him, General Manager Sean Burke can negotiate a contract ahead of time with Drew Brown ahead of the other teams because he's now their property. He attempted only 14 passes in his rookie season last year as the third stringer behind Zach Caleros and Sean McGuire, but for the football people say he's all that. And they know better than me, but it looks like he's going to be an Ottawa Redblack in the next one. Okay, Hustler in next. We'll be right back. This is the warm-up, and we're live on the Game Plus Television Network, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You can throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. DDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Hey, honey, can you get one of the kids to show me how this Twitter thing works? Honey, I need to get on Instagram. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
So how about this, everybody? It's your lucky day. It is your lucky day because Hustler Paterson, we haven't seen hide nor hair of him. So that's fine. I just knew. The old me right now would be throwing things and storming off the set and swearing at everybody. And it's like, what are you going to do? What are you going to do? We call it in the recovery world accepting life on life's terms. And it was all because of a mix-up. Put it on me. Just put it on me. We thought we were going to have Serena in hour one. Now we know we're going to have her in hour two. And Hustler was going to be with us in hour two because he couldn't do hour one. No, I got that wrong. So just put it on me. So it's just you and me with all of these topics today. That's a lot. And I want to get your opinion on all these things. Who's the best NHL team in Canada? Arlen Bruce IV's contract being voided by the CFL. Is this politics? Is this skullduggery? It's just the crappy business of sport, is what I think it boils down to. I really do. And we know this because she always has it right. Sweet Annie O.D., Sweet Annie O'Donnell from Southern California will join us to talk Ducks and Kings, which, by the way, there's a lot to get to there. Why are they talking about moving Trevor Zegras? Why haven't they put the captaincy on Mason McTavish yet? Why are the Kings losing all these games? Annie has all the answers. So just hang on. I need to tell you, now would be a good time that the Telemiracle Online 50/50 is live now. Buy your tickets at telemiracle5050.com today. Please help us out. Don't make the organizers sweat at Telemiracle 48. All we ask is that you be 18 years of age or over and physically in Saskatchewan to purchase tickets like DuPont is. Now would be the time to buy yours, Moose. He's there broadcasting the Provincial Women's Curling Championship in Tisdale, the land of rape and honey. Don't ask. Tickets are on sale until February 23rd at 4 p.m. Sask time. Winner gets, of course, half the final jackpot total. The other half goes to Support Saskatchewan's charity Telemiracle 48. Visit telemiracle.com to learn how the Kinsman Foundation is, quote, helping people every day, unquote, in Saskatchewan to improve their independence and quality of life. I think we can do this. I really enjoyed the comments coming in from the Winnipeggers about Paul Maurice getting so upset last night after the game. I was really surprised because earlier this week, Munsey was on the air, Brian Munz, longtime Winnipeg Jets broadcaster and Winnipeg Ice, saying that Paul Maurice, always composed, always in control. Last night he was not. Go to our Instagram page for our Panthers show, Panthers and Lightning show, catsandbolts.com. All one word, Cats and Bolts Pod, not .com. And you'll see it. I was surprised. I don't know why he was so upset, because I see it as just a mini slump. I was at the game. They aren't themselves. They had just won 9 in a row. You're not going to win every game. From the Mischief Maniacs writes in regarding the Dallas Cowboys bringing back Mike McCarthy as head coach. Mischief Maniacs says, Jerry needs to fire himself. Well, wouldn't that be nice as a Cowboys fan? It's purgatory. And to be honest, you don't see me wearing a lot of Cowboys gear. And this was the first year that I did not plan my week around Cowboys games. If I was home and it was on, I would watch them, but I wasn't planning everything around it like I used to. The playoff game I did. And as you saw, if you watched it, I'm sure many of you did, Packers scored on their opening drive and never took their foot off the gas. I wasn't even worried until into the second quarter, wondering when they were going to start playing. I thought it was maybe just a cat and mouse game of the defensive coordinator, Dan Quinn, versus the Packers, Matt LaFleur. And no, the Cowboys did not show up to play in a playoff game at home. But let's bring back the head coach. Got it. The definition of insanity is, regarding the news from the Canadian Football League, 2 things. Number 1, Winnipeg has traded their backup quarterback and pending free agent Drew Brown to the Ottawa Red Blacks. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says Drew Brown to Ottawa was almost a no-brainer, and says Ottawa has also signed wide receiver Dominic Rhymes. So Ottawa making a move. Off-season move. Randy from Winnipeg writes in regarding our poll question of who's the best Canadian NHL team. He says the latest cup odds on the site he uses, which I'm sure is betregal.ca, right, Randy? Edmonton 3rd, Jets 8th, Canucks 10th, and the Leafs 11th. So just putting that out there. Edmonton, according to that odds site, betting site, is Canada's best representative to win the Stanley Cup. And I'm not necessarily going to sit here and say that that's wrong. How can we say? On January the 18th. Hey, okay. You asked for it, you're going to get it. John Ohm. Happy birthday, John. Happy birthday. Facebook is a wonderful thing. Listen, there was almost riots last night at Amerint Bank Arena for these Matthew Tkachuk bobblehead dolls, and I'll tell you why. I've been to, as you know, every game, and this was the 3rd of a set. The prior 2 were Aaron Ekblad and Alexander Barkov. And both times, there was like 10,000 bobbleheads produced. And the Panthers are getting around 18,000 fans a game. So do the math. Not everybody's going to get one. But up until last night, there was stacks of these bobbleheads available. You could take 10 if you wanted to. Well, last night, it very clearly showed that Matthew Tkachuk is the most popular Florida Panther because these things were gone in a hurry, in a jiff. And it's so lifelike, he's chewing on his mouth guard. I'm not sure if our camera's picking that up, but just like the real Matthew Tkachuk, he's chewing on his mouth guard. So I got this, and then I also got one from my friend Caesar here, a less advantaged guy in Plantation, Florida. So I got it. That's the story on that, John Ohm. John Schmeiser in Kansas City writes it and says, accepting life on life's terms. Well said. I'm going to steal that, Rod. Don't give me credit for it. Don't. That's come to a 12-step meeting sometime. You hear these things all the time. The well-adjusted ones are the ones in that meeting. You guys think we're the kooks. No, we're the ones that stop beating our head against the wall. John the Ken Austin news. I get what you're saying about Kent and Auburn University. There was an announcement that he's now the quarterback coach at Auburn, but he was with the Auburn staff last year. So it's not the biggest news with my good guy, K.A. I do want to spend a minute again on the Arlen Bruce IV thing because, and it's, I know, what's up? Are you talking to me, Tuna? I just heard something in my ear. False alarm? Okay, well, let's get Hustler now. And we'll start with this. We don't have, we'll fiddle with the time. Thanks for accommodating us, bro. All I want to ask you was what was it like driving to Kansas City for that and hanging out with Taylor Swift in the same, you and 75,000 other people, you and Taylor, what was that like?
You know what? It was, I've been lucky enough to go to a lot of games in KC, a bunch of playoff games. I was at the AFC Championship game last year that they won. I was at the 2019 that they lost to the Patriots. But the game on Saturday night, Rod, albeit not a championship game to go to the Super Bowl, was as memorable as any I've been to. And obviously the environment, the cold was next level. I mean, like I was saying to my buddy Dustin Nielsen yesterday in the lock shop, I mean, I'm from Winnipeg. I've been cold my whole life. I don't know if I've ever been as cold as I was on Saturday night at Arrowhead Stadium. And I was prepared for it. I mean, boots, one of those big Canada Goose jackets, multiple scarves, and all. It was a challenge. And just to think about what those players were going through on the field was amazing to watch. I mean, the atmosphere was wild. I mean, it was sort of survival in the stands for the most part. But once the game was pretty much done in that final 5 minutes, you saw the swag surf happening in the entire stadium. It was a special night. One that I think really got a lot of momentum again behind the Chiefs and their fans, who frankly have been spoiled during the Mahomes era, watching them, kind of be the number one team each year. And now it sets up the game everybody wanted to see. Chiefs-Bills in prime time in the divisional round. And I can't wait for the game. But as far as Miss Swift goes, it's actually funny. I was sitting in the last row of the of the lower bowl. So the suites were right behind me. Their suite was probably, I don't know, maybe about 60, no, not 60. It was probably about 30 or 40 yards towards center. I was on about the 10-yard line. Pretty sure they were right around center field. But dude, it was so cold that the suite behind us about every 10 minutes would fog up, and guys were bringing their credit cards out and doing the old windshield waiver scribe so they could actually see the game. It was something else. The Chiefs delivered. I think I was confident. I didn't think the Miami Dolphins were built for a -30 game. They weren't. And we get the game that I think most NFL fans, whether you've got skin in the game or not, wanted to see. And that's Josh Allen and Mahomes going at it again in the postseason.
Well, listen, it's not fun cheering for a soft team. And I'm a Cowboys fan, and I live near Miami. We should be sponsored by Imperial Margarine. How soft these two teams are. But what I'm hearing, you must be hearing this from the Bills fans, and maybe the Bills themselves. We finally got them in our place. How much will the venue change affect Bills Chiefs in the playoffs this time around?
Well, listen, I don't think it's going to affect the Chiefs. Is it going to be a big boost for the Buffalo Bills? I guess we'll see. With that comes a lot of pressure, Rod. I mean, let's think about where these teams have been over the last 3 years. Like, Patrick Mahomes has 12 playoff wins already in his career. He can pass the likes of Troy Aikman with 3 Super Bowl rings on the weekend. Josh Allen has 5. And, let's face it. I mean, the last three, his last, he beat, Skylar Thompson. They haven't come up big when they have really needed to. And the expectations have been with that. Now, they were 6-6, and a lot of teams a lot of people counted them out. Credit to them for turning that season around, winning a few big games, including one against the Chiefs at Arrowhead, to earn this game in front of their home fans. But I will say this, I really do think that, Mahomes and the Chiefs are going to be feeling very confident, and why wouldn't they? Going into play against the Buffalo Bills, regardless of, whether it's at Arrowhead or whether it's in Buffalo. And there is so much pressure on the Bills to get this done. And listen, I've got nothing but love for the Mafia. I mean, that team is supported as well as any team in the league. But with that comes a lot of responsibility. And I got to tell you, I mean, a lot of people wrote the Chiefs off, I think, earlier because they haven't been, certainly offensively, they haven't been that same team. But I also think a lot of people are sort of completely overlooking that this is the best defense that the Chiefs have had in the Mahomes era, and that matters come playoff time. And we saw it flex its muscles against the Dolphins on Saturday in the cold, and they'll be ready to go. I have no doubt this is going to be a close game. I think it's going to be a classic. You got two of the best quarterbacks on the planet going at it, and may the best team win and move on to either Baltimore or, I guess, if Houston was able to pull up a big upset, back to their home field for a game. But I think obviously with the 9.5 point spread, the Ravens are likely to be hosting that AFC Championship game against either Mahomes and the Chiefs or Allen and the Bills.
Well, Steel Hustler, for just one more segment. When we come back, we will talk NHL and who is the best team in Canada and what the Jets may need in advance of the trade deadline. We'll be right back on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at IKSGameDay.com.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Peterson.
Hi, everybody. We're back, and we're not going to waste any more time. We appreciate Hustler Paterson for jumping in. He'll be live. I get screwed up with the time zones. What is it, 1 p.m. Eastern or Central, Hus? You're 1 Central every day?
Yeah.
2 Eastern, 1 Central. Right.
Basically, you guys finish up, and a lot of RP listeners, especially the ones that are checking out on YouTube, often will jump over into Winnipeg Sports Talk. But yeah, we're live on YouTube. Obviously, you can get Winnipeg Sports Talk wherever you get your favorite pods as well. But 1 p.m. Central, 2 Eastern for a couple hours Monday to Friday. And talking right now mostly about the Winnipeg Jets, Rod, for obvious reasons.
Yeah, for sure. And I just want to say 4 hours consecutive of quality sports talk between the two. I love being partnered up with Winnipeg Sports Talk. So about the Jets, I believe you guys have been number one. Sorry for saying you guys, but you get it. Number one in the NHL for some time now. Can Winnipeg handle the success as a city? You guys are going nuts over there.
Well, we're handling it well. The bottom line is the team's handling it well, and that's what's most important. For people, Rod, I mean, you've spent a lot of time. You might be in a much warmer climate right now, and yes, I'm quite jealous of that. This is the time of year where, I mean, you get through January and February on the prairies. It can get really cold. The nights are long. The days are short. And, it can be a bit of a drag. This team has absolutely energized people in this city. I think the entire province of Manitoba and Jet fans beyond, because while I think a lot of people expected that the Winnipeg Jets could definitely be a playoff team, there was literally nobody talking about the Jets being at the top of the standings midway through the season or a true Stanley Cup contender with the roster they had going into the year. And they have made believers out of so many, win by win by win. And I mean, these last 2 months has been, magical, to be perfectly honest. I mean, it doesn't matter. First, it was Gabriel Velarde out. Then it was Kyle Connor out. And the team has just kept on winning. And the foundation of the way the team has won games, like it is different than it's been in the past. I mean, if you think about last year, the Jets had a great start. And at early January, not quite this late, was number one in the West for a fleeting moment. A lot of that was on the back of Connor Hellebuck. Now, listen, he's still the best in the game, and he's having a monster season and was definitely the favorite for the Vezina Trophy right now. But what is different about this Jets team is the buy-in from every single member of the club, every single night, buying into Rick Bowness's defensive system that has put them in historic company when it comes to limiting chances and bottom line goals against right now. You combine that with world-class goaltending, and you get a team that has been the toughest out in the league so far to this year, looking down at 31 teams in the NHL standings.
We had a viewer write in and say it's too bad that the Oilers and Jets could meet early in the playoffs. And I don't know. I think it would take a lot for that to happen. They're in different divisions now, but I get it. And I'm like shades of the 80s all over again for the matchups, if that were to be the case. But these are different teams. Like, honestly, Hustler, let's be honest. If Winnipeg played the Oilers in the playoffs in round one, I think Winnipeg would win it. Forget about giving them a run. I think they'd win it.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't think you could make a definitive case for either team. I think you basically say, hey, we're in for 6 or 7 games of amazing hockey of two very different teams. I mean, the strength of the Oilers is the best player in the world, some incredible offensive talent that can make up for some other mistakes. The strength of the Winnipeg Jets is the best 5-on-5 team in the league, the best defensive team in the league, with the best goaltending in the league. I mean, it really is sort of a yin and a yang between the two clubs. So it would be amazing. I mean, just on that note, Rod, I mean, if we're talking about potential Canadian content in the Stanley Cup playoffs, like for a while, it looked like the Oilers were just going to be lucky and it would take 82 games for them to make up for their brutal start and get into a wild card spot. Well, that conversation is over with the 8-game winning streak and now, 11 in a row? I think it's more likely that they actually finish in the top 3 in the Pacific Division. It's certainly likely that the Jets do that. So they wouldn't be able to play until the conference finals. And my God, can you imagine Winnipeg and Edmonton going at it for a 7-game series, the winner to go to the Stanley Cup? I can't think of anything better. But there's also the possibility, and we can't forget about what the Vancouver Canucks have done this year. I mean, an Edmonton-Vancouver series earlier in the first 2 rounds is definitely possible. And I'm not willing to count out the Calgary Flames as well. I mean, when you look at the Western Conference right now, I think we can safely say that in the Central Division, Winnipeg, Colorado, and Dallas are going to be the top 3. And I think we look at the Pacific Division, and you've got Vancouver, Edmonton, Vegas, and LA. Those will be the top 4. And I think maybe this is a stretch, but I'm confident in saying the first wild card will be the team in the Pacific Division, which basically then puts teams like the Calgary Flames, the Nashville Predators, who else do we have here? The Kraken, the Coyotes, the Blues, the Wild, all battling for that final spot. First of all, I'll say there's a real incentive to be first place in the West. Because I'd far rather play one of those teams as opposed to the 4th place team in the Pacific Division. But man, can you imagine if Calgary got in as the 8th seed? And then you're talking about 4 Canadian teams out of 8 teams, potentially multiple all-Canadian series. I don't know how much they'd like it in the New York offices, but I can certainly tell you that the national rights holders out east would be salivating for it because they haven't had enough Canadian content in the playoffs as of late. And certainly the teams in the West are doing their part to make sure that happens this year.
Oh, yeah. But hey, this past weekend was just the official halfway mark of the NHL season, as you know. And look at all that's happened to this point, and that's only half a season. So I'm not going to make any generalities to what's going to happen over the next half. But I get it. But we have a trade deadline coming up, too. Hustler, I'm going to let you go. Thanks for jumping on, man. It's always fun.
Get ready for that game Sunday night, Rod. Bills Chiefs. This is the highlight of the entire week. Oh, and then next week, Jets and Leafs home and home series. Hell of a way to get into the playoffs. Thanks for having me, man, as always.
Times are great. Andrew Hustler Paterson from Winnipeg Sports Talk. They come on at 1 p.m. Central on YouTube right after us. We'll be right back. And we've thrown a lot of topics at you today, which is what we normally do. And we've kind of kept it to NHL, NFL, CFL, whatever you'd like to talk about. We'll get to that next. We are live on Game Plus TV, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
I'm Bridget Lacroix. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. BDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Did you know you can catch all the best moments from the show on all our social media platforms? Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. It's the South Florida studio. No Moose today. He is broadcasting the Provincial Women's Curling Championships in Tisdale. You got just me, although we just had Hustler, and it was great. Serena Taylor joins us next hour, and it's going to be wall-to-wall hockey talk, and we'll get into it then. We had a great show yesterday on our Panthers and Lightning podcast. Doug McLean joined us. We'll tell some stories from that and get to the bottom of our hockey-related questions. But we do have breaking news from the Canadian Football League today. The Ottawa Redblacks have acquired the rights to pending free agent quarterback Drew Brown from the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. I misread or was not reading the fine print in the three-down story that I cut and pasted to the earlier report I was reading. And I'll tell you why. In exchange, Ottawa will send a fifth-round pick in this year's CFL draft to the Bombers. With the deal, the Red Blacks have exclusive negotiating rights with the 26-year-old Californian and pending free agent. So last year, while dressing for all 18 games in his third CFL season, Brown won both of his starts on his way to completing 62 passes for 983 yards, 9 touchdowns, and no picks. So I think that's partly why the football people are saying Drew Brown is all that, and he's off the table now. Looks like Ottawa is making him the next one. From the Dub, Braden Sherman scored a goal and 2 assists as the Moose Jaw Warriors topped the Lethbridge Hurricanes 6-3. In Red Deer, Hunter Mayo knocked in the game-winning goal at 15:49 of the second period as the Rebels edged the Blades 5-4. And in Kelowna, Luca Cagnoni knocked in the game-winning goal at 19:19 of the second period as the Portland Winterhawks got past the Rockets 5-4. The sports update and our hockey coverage is brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. And for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now, Mean Girls. From the comedic mind of Tina Fey comes a new twist on the modern classic. Mean Girls is in Landmark Cinemas now. So this gives us time the rest of this hour to get it all out. John Ohm, who, by the way, is celebrating a birthday today, says, what's the latest on Strevler? I don't know. There's your answer. Wayne in Victoria, BC writes, and he says, those are my three favorite leagues, Rod. LOL. CFL, NHL, NFL. See, we really narrowed it down to try and focus some. I found it very hilarious that former television producer from major markets, presumably in the U.S., wrote into this show and said that we are too ADD and all over the place. We actually stay on NHL, NFL, and CFL. There's enough to talk about there, bro. And if you were any good, you'd still be in the business. Did I say that? Devin in Burns Lake, BC says, it's filled the gap very well since losing the Big Show. I'm not sure what he's talking about, but we're just going to go with it. Now, having said all of that, there's something that I did not get to earlier, and I wanted to, and where the heck is it? I was driving home from the Panthers game last night. I was listening to the very end of this game. Place line, Toronto. Gary Trent Jr. wasn't going to miss his opportunity, nor many baskets, as emotions ran high in the Toronto Raptors locker room. Gary Trent, my favorite Raptor, had a season-high 28 points as Toronto stunned the Miami Heat, 121-97 Wednesday, hours after the Raptors traded all-star forward Pascal Siakam to the Pacers. Gary Trent spent much of the season coming off Toronto's bench, but was put into the starting lineup with Siakam gone. Yeah, see, that's the thing. Not following the Raptors. They're not even playing my guy, Gary Trent, although it looks like they're going to have to. They're going to have to. But I was driving home, and Jason Jackson is the radio voice of the Miami Heat. And I was listening to the game on WQAM, and he was complaining about how cold it was in Scotiabank Arena. He was like, can somebody turn on the furnace? And then they got their asses whipped by the Raptors, so he's like, let's get on the plane and get back to paradise. Enough of this place. And I'm like, you're just the broadcaster, bro. Calm down. I used to get in so much hell from people for saying things just like that. But I guess he can get away with it. I couldn't. So the poll question we'll get to next hour, we'll update it, and it will be a very common theme throughout. Who's Canada's best NHL team? We got the CFL tidbits. Drew Brown dealt to Ottawa, and also the CFL voiding the contract of Arlen Bruce IV. I find that very sad news. We'll kick that around a bit too. And sweet Annie O.D. is going to be with us after this brief pause.
We're all capable of doing more. More speed, more reps, more commitment to getting every detail perfect. And that's why it's important we never miss a donation appointment. Blood and plasma donors are needed every day in Canada to support thousands of patients that rely on Canada's lifeline. We're asking you to join the Hockey Gives Blood Partners for Life team. Join today by downloading the Give Blood app or book online at blood.ca/HGB.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the City of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
The question is, should Sheldon Keefe be fired, the head coach of the Leafs? I'm saying yes, just because. Why not? Fire him! Am I doing it right? Wow, 53% say no on YouTube. That's a more polarizing answer than I thought, to be perfectly honest with you. I thought it'd be a landslide one way or the other. This surprises me that it's that close.
This is the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to the RP Show. It's hour 2. And just about every day I say it's my favorite hour of the show. And in a moment, you're going to see an extra reason why today. We're live on Game Plus television all across Canada and 31 U.S. states. We're also on the radio down there in Atlanta, WQEE, where we are Atlanta's NHL show. And as Ryan O'Radio, who runs the whole show down there, says, we're the CFL show there, too. We have news from all these leagues, plus a big NFL weekend coming up. Here's the breaking news before we bring in Serena Taylor in hour 2. Well, we got the NHL story. We'll get to all of that because that's her thing. From the Canadian Football League, number 1, the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have traded quarterback Drew Brown, pending free agent, to the Ottawa Red Blacks. Means he's probably going to sign with Ottawa. And here's a lifestyle story that I'm going to ask for Serena's take on later, and I've been asking for yours. The Canadian Football League has voided the contract of Arlen Bruce IV, the son of CFL legend Arlen Bruce III. We don't know the reasons why, but he signed with Edmonton in December, and he was suspended from the NCAA for gambling on games while at the University of Iowa, and I got a big problem with that. The CFL used to be a second-chance league. How long's the kid got to play? Or does this have anything to do with his father's lawsuit against the CFL for the concussions he suffered during his Hall of Fame career? So that's that. All right, let's bring in Serena Taylor now. I know that she has opinions and all the rest. Serena, some of the things, because I know you've been busy. We've been talking about who's the best Canadian team in the NHL, the best NHL team in Canada, however you want to say it. Your Oilers go after their franchise record 12th consecutive win tonight at home to the Seattle Kraken. I guess, can we start there? Is this the greatest Oilers team of all time? The record would say that it might be.
That's the most ridiculous thing. Didn't someone ask you the other day where you're getting your oxygen? I feel like that's
yeah,
I should go with that.
Pat from Winnipeg. No, I facetiously say that. But I think 11 games is a franchise record. So 12 is just adding that. How do you feel about this streak?
It's something the Oilers needed because they were not good the first 25 games of the season. So do I look at it as a sign that they're headed in the right direction? I mean, maybe, but at the end of the day, you still have to win the same amount of games at the end of the season overall. So that's what I'm looking at it as. It's like, I'm glad that we've won as many games in a row, but at the end of the day, they just have to win. I don't put much stock into winning streaks.
I don't either, I think, but it was human nature. You were looking up the other day, what is the NHL record for longest winning streak? And as we discovered, it's 17 games, Pittsburgh Penguins in 1993. But they never went on to win the Stanley Cup. So that's kind of proof right there that a long winning streak in the regular season doesn't necessarily mean a lot.
It doesn't mean anything. It's just like saying, well, the Panthers won 9 in a row, and now they've lost 3 in a row. Does that make them not a good team for the playoffs? No, it doesn't matter. It's all the same.
Yeah, well, Paul Maurice was visibly upset last night, by the way, if anybody cares, after that game, the 3-2 overtime loss at home to the Detroit Red Wings. But we'll save that talk for our Cats and Bolts podcast, where we talk about the Florida Panthers and Tampa Bay Lightning, and we're going to do that in a second. I want to tee you up in your mind and our audience as well, because we have a lot of viewers, well, all across Canada, but Winnipeg and Edmonton specifically. And I asked Hustler Paterson last hour who would win a playoff series between Edmonton and Winnipeg. Now, the last time they met was 2021, and we remember Winnipeg swept the Edmonton Oilers in round 1. So just think about that in a minute. But first, you and I spent some good time yesterday with Doug MacLean, the former head coach of the Florida Panthers and Columbus Blue Jackets, for our podcast. And I'd love to know what your takeaway was from the infamous Mac, a legend here and in the NHL for what he's done.
There were so many things I took away from him, but I think the biggest thing was just how humble he is. You know, when he first got his first coaching job at UNB, after he was coaching Junior B, you know, he essentially went from being a high school teacher, more or less his next paying coaching job was with UNB, to the NHL. And with him, when he said that being at UNB and getting hired there, and he said to his wife, like, this is it, this is the dream, this is where we're going to be, it's because he's so humble. He wasn't expecting a lot. He didn't stab anybody in the back along the way. He wasn't clawing for jobs in the NHL to say he worked in the NHL like a lot of people do. He just took what was coming to him. And I just felt that was very humbling.
Yeah, I'm going to tell a funny story from that. And the podcast drops this afternoon. It might even be live now. But here's just a funny story, because I asked him what was it like coaching the Panthers in the 90s at the old Miami Arena. And he said it was in a bad end of town. And the police told him, when you come to a red light around the arena, don't stop. Keep rolling through, because they'll come and steal your car. And he was driving an 86 Toyota Corolla. So he said he came up to a red light. This was in 1996, and he didn't stop. He rolled through the intersection, and some local thug yelled at him, "Don't worry, we wouldn't steal that piece of garbage." So yeah, that's what he was driving as the head coach.
I think it was a
whatever it was. Whatever it was. Yeah, exactly.
The story gets a lot better.
Yeah, go ahead.
So everybody's going to have to check out the podcast.
Okay, it's on YouTube. Yeah, Cats and Bolts podcast. Doug MacLean, our special guest this week. So it was Wayne in Victoria, BC, who wrote in earlier and said, it's too bad the Oilers and Jets will meet early in the playoffs, if I read that right. And Hustler and I kind of looked at the standings, and it's like, well, that's probably not going to happen based on the way it's going. But let's just say that it does. The last time that they met, the Jets swept them in 2021. In the 80s, when you became an Oiler fan, it wasn't even a fair matchup. The Oilers were so far and away a better team than everybody, because they ended up winning 4 Stanley Cups in the decade and going to how many finals? If they met now, who do you think would win? Because it's a different era, it's a different time, different franchise.
Edmonton, for sure. Edmonton's a way stronger team than Winnipeg. Go ahead and win the league for all I care. It's the same as Vancouver. It doesn't matter. It's like I was on a Rangers podcast last night, And we were talking about where teams land in the standings. And it's like, who cares? Go ahead and finish first. And you know the old joke about the President's Trophy and whatever else, but that doesn't mean anything. Now, Vancouver is really impressive because they're plus like 54 or something on their goal differential. It's unbelievable. But Winnipeg is not as good of a team as Edmonton. Not even close.
John Ohm, who, by the way, is celebrating a birthday today. He asks who wins today in a 7-game series, Oilers or Jets, and she just answered it, Edmonton. But do you really feel that you are objective when it comes to analyzing the Edmonton Oilers? And be honest, because the Jets have a Vezina-caliber goalie in Connor Hellebuck. The Oilers do not. A sounder defense, would you not agree, than Edmonton? I don't think you feel it's a slam dunk that Edmonton would win. And maybe you're right. You usually are. But I think it would be a long series.
I'm not saying it wouldn't be. I'm just saying that I know Edmonton would win. It's just like a couple of years ago when everybody tried to tell me Calgary was going to stomp all over Edmonton, and I was the only person that said, no way, man, Edmonton's going to win. And here's why. They have playoff experience. It's just a team with playoff experience. Winnipeg is never going to do squat. They just don't have that playoff experience. They don't have guys that have experience deep in the playoffs. Yes, Hellebuck is a great goaltender. That's incredible. But there are not too many goaltending extravaganzas that I've seen like last year. And Florida still didn't win the Stanley Cup. And their goaltender was the only reason they got where they were. So yes, goaltending is clutch, but it can only take you so far. I think Winnipeg has a lot of great forwards, but they don't have a lot of superstars. They have guys who are fast, but it's different. They're just not the same team.
John, just to put a footnote on that, says, you're speaking with your heart, Serena. Come on now. Well, she always does, but I'm just letting her speak because she's the guest.
Well, using my brain, too. It's logical. It's a logical fact that most hockey people last year thought the Oilers were going to win the Stanley Cup. Not me. I'm hard on the Oilers. But do I think they can beat Winnipeg? Yes. Are there other teams that I think could beat Edmonton? Absolutely. Winnipeg is not one of them.
Randy from Winnipeg chiming in with a Panthers comment. He says, shows how important Alexander Barkov is. Hasn't played the last 3 games. All losses. And we kind of go back and forth on, like, I love Barkov from the moment I saw him, from his size to his skill. He's the captain of the team. You're not the biggest fan, but one of the things I love about you of many is you're not afraid to say your thoughts, and you're not a Matthew Tkachuk fan, and it's not really affecting you. You don't get people that I've seen up in your business when you give negative, analytical, not positive comments about the Florida Panthers. How about that? Am I right in saying that?
Well, whatever. But when Barkov got really sick, about, 6 weeks ago or something, he was really sick and didn't play for 3 games. And the first thing out of my mouth, and I said it to Bill Lindsay and he agreed with me, it shows you, in my opinion, how strong the Panthers are because they didn't miss Barkov. And we had this conversation. They didn't miss him. Yes, they're a way better team with him, but that's not why they lost the last 3 games. The games that they played, the Kings here, the Kings should have won that game for sure. And when New Jersey was here, New Jersey stomped all over them. Barkov played in that game. And in my opinion, Barkov played a great game. So just all depends.
Patrolman Pete checking in from Winnipeg and says, the Jets do have a Stanley Cup winning goalie on the roster. Just saying. He's talking about Laurent Brossoit, who I don't even think he played in the Stanley Cup run for the Vegas Golden Knights last year. But I tell you, it does say something, however, and I don't think that we should discount the importance of goaltending in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We can't. You mentioned what Bobrovsky did last year, but Adin Hill last I looked, was leading the NHL in wins. And I still couldn't pick the guy out of a lineup. Like, I guess with Colorado winning the Stanley Cup with Darcy Kemper and what Vegas did with Adin Hill and continues to do, even though Vegas isn't all that hot right now, I think we all think they're going to get it together at some point. How important is goaltending? Can they win without a future Hall of Famer in goal? Any team.
You clearly can. Is it ideal? Probably not. That is one thing that Winnipeg, I don't even want to say has going for them, because it's not going to matter if I was their backup. He's not going to see the ice. But it's like the conversation I had last night about the Rangers. There's a team where Jonathan Quick is technically considered the backup, and he's been unbelievable. And the discussion we had the other night was if they're going to go with Shesterkin, because you got to pick before the playoffs come. You can't be dilly-dallying back and forth. If you're going to go with Shesterkin as your starter, you probably have to think there's a short leash on him because they know that they've got a solid backup. Will that happen in Winnipeg? I don't know. I think Hellebuck is a lot more solid than Shesterkin this year, so I don't think they have to worry about it. But at least they have something in their back pocket if they need it in Winnipeg.
Chad is watching in Lethbridge, and among his comments, he says, if you're doing a checklist in a Winnipeg-Edmonton playoff series, goalies, Winnipeg. Defense, Winnipeg. Forwards, Edmonton. And defense wins championship. That's why I say when people bring up the 80s, and we all remember the 80s, the Jets could never get past the Oilers in the Stanley Cup playoffs. They were just different teams. And I'm not so sold that Edmonton would win a playoff series based on defense. I'm not sold on it. And that's why I wonder how non-biased you are. When the Jets swept the Oilers 2021 playoffs, how did you feel about that? If I recall, you actually thought that could very well happen, right?
Well, as soon as I watched the first period, Edmonton did not have it. So to say that, well, the Jets beat them 3 years ago, who cares? It was like the Oilers losing the first however many games out of 20 that they lost this year. They were not themselves. And I think everybody can agree with that. And I'm just not the type of person that's going to sit here all day and go, well, they've got this guy and they've got this guy and they've got this guy and they've got this guy. Who cares? Who cares? Vasilevsky's an incredible goaltender. Tampa's not going to do squat this year in the playoffs. Probably not. So it's like, if you want to compare teams, look at Tampa on paper. Not too many teams beat Tampa on paper. They're just not doing it. And I think like Winnipeg has way more of a habit of choking. Look at the playoffs the year I think before that. They were winning, and then they tanked hard. Winnipeg just doesn't have, in my opinion, the leadership. They don't have guys that are going to take them there. I'm not saying they have to have a Connor McDavid. That's not what I'm saying. But the Kings don't, and they were doing really well. It's a different team. It's just like Calgary. They don't have it.
Randy from Winnipeg, just to chime in on this before we break, he says, how many superstars did Vegas have last year? Well, they had a lot of guys that played like superstars, but they did have Jack Eichel, Pietrangelo, Shea Theodore, Mark Stone. You can call them whatever you want, but they played like superstars.
That's my point.
And that's what you need.
My point is, Vegas is the type of team that can pull that together. Winnipeg is not. If the last however many years Winnipeg's been in existence is not proof enough that they can never pull it together, it's just the way it is. Like we just see Vegas from the top down. They are just strong. The office, the this, the that. They don't mess around. Winnipeg, it's like, sometimes the rink's half empty. Sometimes it's not a quality franchise there. They've never won.
We're going to take a pause. When we come back, we'll continue more of this. Our Bet Regal NHL Breakaway Bet segment we'll do, where we'll predict tonight's games in the NHL. Sweet Annie O'Donnell coming up from Southern California later on in hour 2. We'll be getting our Ducks and Kings talk on with her. And I do want Serena's take and yours, everybody on the news and the CFL. It's a lifestyle thing. Question, Arlen Bruce IV having his contract voided by the CFL. ostensibly, if that's the right term, because of gambling violations while in the NCAA. We'll be back in a moment, live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Everything I've worked for, everything I've sacrificed, has led to this. It's out of your hands now. All the gold medals in the world can't help you now. You could throw the perfect rock and still miss, but it just takes one. You leave it all out there on the ice to leave behind a legacy.
Nestled in the scenic Qu'Appelle Valley, just 20 minutes northwest of Regina, is one of the finest golf courses in all of Saskatchewan, the Deer Valley Golf Club. The clubhouse has a full-service restaurant, and customers can enjoy a casual dining experience with spectacular views of the golf course and valley. A fully stocked golf shop, staffed by PGA of Canada professionals, is equipped to meet all of your golf apparel and equipment needs. Book your tee time, family event, or corporate tournament today at the Deer Valley Golf Club. Call 306-731-1445.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Pedersen Show today.
Send us your opinions now. We won't victimize you unless you really deserve it. Now, back to your host, Rod Pedersen.
Yeah, for once, the pressure is off me, and we'll talk more about that in a moment. Our hockey coverage is brought to you in part by Common Crown Brewing, a commitment to connection and celebration of uniqueness. Visit commoncrown.ca. And also, the Kinsman Telemiracle. Telemiracle 48 is coming up, and their online 50-50 draws live now. It's another way to support Telemiracle and also have the chance to win half the jackpot. It's truly a win-win for Saskatchewan residents. Get your tickets now at telemiracle5050.com. We're big supporters of Telemiracle and proud to be part of it. Okay, let's please bring Serena back on. We should run a disclaimer, a ticker. Opinions of the co-host do not reflect those of the program. RodPedersen.com and Rod Pedersen. Patrolman Pete in Winnipeg writes in and says, typical Oiler fan still living in the 80s. Allie in Texarkana.
You asked me about the 80s Oilers. I don't live in the 80s, bro. And secondly, I'm assuming Patrolman Pete and all of his friends in Winnipeg are Bombers fans. So imagine what it's like for you when you argue with a Rider fan. It's the same thing. It's like talking to a wall. You're never going to agree on the same thing. So let's move on. Who cares? Go win a Stanley Cup and then come talk to us.
Allie in Texarkana says, we want Serena. We want Serena. She says, also, you have to be able to score and you have to have the defense in front of the goalie, no matter how good your goalie is. That is the Stars' issue. John Ohm, I feel like you're spoiling his birthday. He says, I find her opinion a tad harsh. She has her opinion, even though we get very little credit so far this year. Well, we've had this discussion. I really wish they would stop talking in Winnipeg about getting credit for having the #1 team. Do we need to ask the Boston Bruins, Serena, what you get for having the best team in the regular season?
Or
do we really need to mention this again?
Well, listen, nobody even thought of the Jets a month ago, right? And so all of a sudden they come and they're winning games, and Winnipeg's winning the games that they need. There's no doubt about it. They deserve to be in the position that they're in. But it's like, you got to realize too that it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's like Vancouver's been there the whole season. So yeah, Boston's an incredible hockey team. Boston has a lot of experience and a lot of guys that have been there for a long time. And it's just all of a sudden Winnipeg's all, hey, don't forget about us. Because really nobody outside of Winnipeg cares about the Jets. Unless you're a Jets fan. It's just one of those things. You have to be a Jets fan to care about the Jets. So that's why they don't get a lot of coverage in that regard, because there's so much other stuff that monopolizes them in Canada.
Serena is waking them up in the cheap seats. Jeff, the Stamps fan, says, LOL, love the dig at Rider fans, Serena. He wrote that in all caps. Patrolman Pete says, haha, you know we love you, Serena. That's from Patrolman Pete. Mike in Winnipeg at Ice Time Sports says, bro, love it. So people that aren't normally commenting are commenting. So thank you for that. And Serena sat down yesterday when we were doing our Cats and Bolts podcast with Doug McLean there, and she said, good, I don't have to be the star of the show for a change. I'm like, yeah, let her be the star. I'm tired of it. John in Edmonton, a different John, says, by the way, Serena, do you think the Oilers will do anything at the trade deadline? And what are your thoughts on the Oilers trying to get Corey Perry?
Do I think they'll do anything at the deadline? Honestly, I don't know. There's always some bizarre stuff that comes up. So I haven't really looked too deep into like where they would make movement because of the salary cap and whatever else. I honestly don't think they're going to do anything because they put their stock in guys like Darnell Nurse that I don't really think that they should. And so I have no idea what they're thinking. And as far as the Corey Perry thing, I would rather clip my toenails off with a rusty nail than have Corey Perry put that jersey on. He doesn't deserve it. I don't even know. The rumors about him that were going around a while back are just as ludicrous, in my opinion, as this. I don't know where this Corey Perry talk came from, but any team in the league that would sign that guy, he's a liability. And they always talk about, are the Oilers going to get this? He's stopped talking about that.
Well, we did have Jason Greger on here yesterday. He discussed the issue. I don't think he's the one that broke that news at all. Basically, he said, of course the Oilers would be in on Corey Perry. Who wouldn't be, given his resume? That was from Jason Greger yesterday. I'm going to bring this up now because I want your opinion. It's a football thing, and then we'll come back to hockey, and I don't want to forget it. It was the story that we broke today, and the story was unearthed by our friends at the Hughes Sports Podcast, so I'll give them credit, but I brought it to notoriety in the light of day. The Canadian Football League has voided the contract of rookie receiver Arlen Bruce, two-time Grey Cup champion. Now, Arlen Bruce IV, the son, was ineligible to play this season in the NCAA due to an indefinite suspension handed down by the NCAA after he was caught gambling on sports as a player at the University of Iowa in 2021-22. He transferred to OSU in January of last year but was never cleared to play and is now turning the page on his college career by signing a professional contract with Edmonton. That's a story from a month ago. We learned the CFL has since voided the contract. If it's only because of the gambling issues, how do you feel about that? Because I have a problem with that, and it's my opinion, but it's another league, it's another time. That's my opinion, and our viewers have thoughts, but what are yours, Serena?
I think that if the CFL has a specific rule in place that says anybody who was caught gambling at X level that they were playing at is no longer eligible to play in the CFL, that's one thing. But my guess is they don't have that type of rule because it's so random. It just probably hasn't happened before. So if it's one of those things that they're just kind of making up as they go along, then I think it's ridiculous. And as far as the gambling thing, I go back and forth with that. Like, no, I don't feel like you should be able to gamble while you're a current athlete and any of that kind of stuff. I don't. But I do agree with you. And somebody mark this on the calendar that we actually agreed on something. That if it doesn't, it's a past life. It's a past thing. If you get caught doing it again, if you're going to give Johnny Manziel a chance in the CFL and you're not going to give Arlen Bruce IV a chance, that is absurd. We all know what Johnny Manziel was up to, and the CFL was hiding it. So come on, give the guy a break. Does it really matter?
So furthermore, and from the Barflies in Winnipeg writes in and says, with gambling everywhere now, he should be turfed for violating the rules. Should have zero. Broke the rules of the NCAA, not the Canadian Football League. That's the point. Now, again, the CFL to me, and I've only been in it almost my entire adult life, used to be a second chance league. Has society changed now that, and the sad thing is I think it has. And I was told this came directly from the desk of the commissioner making this decision to void the contract. Serena, we just don't want any part of gambling at all, so we're just not going to allow the kid to play. He's a talented kid. He's got a family lineage in the league, as I talked about. Now, the caveat to this, or the addendum, or whatever the proper word is Arlen Bruce Sr. sued the CFL unsuccessfully because of the lawsuit, or the concussions that he suffered as a player. Now, if that had anything to do with the kid's contract being voided, I have an even bigger issue. And I don't know that would ever be proven. There's another layer for you. How do you feel about that?
No, I wouldn't put anything past the Canadian Football League. That league is, and I'm going to get scorched for saying this, that league has just become a joke. Nobody takes it seriously. They change whatever they want to change. They back whatever they want to back at the time. And it's like the Edmonton Elks changing their name. Most people are like, this is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. But because somebody got in a flap about it, we had to make a change. Somebody in the office maybe got in a flap because Arlen Bruce IV was tied to gambling a few years ago when he wasn't even playing professional football. He was playing college football. There's a difference. But again, going back to that, if there is a rule in the CFL clause that players are not allowed to play if they have a gambling history, then you have to support it. But if there's not, I think it's ridiculous.
Comments from all new viewers or new commenters here. Scott says, for me, who cares if they're betting on sports as long as they're not betting on their own team's games? Anyways, we'll pick this up later. I promise this. Bet Regal Bets. We're going to fly through this, Serena. Normally I do it with DuPont. He's not here. So tonight's NHL games, we pick a winner. Dallas at Philadelphia. Who wins?
Ooh. Philadelphia.
Me too. Colorado at Boston.
Boston.
It's probably the game of the night. I'll take the Avs. St. Louis at Washington. St. Louis at Washington.
St. Louis.
I'll take the Caps. How about that? The Montreal Canadiens at Ottawa Senators. Who wins?
Montreal.
Toilet Bowl. I agree. Minnesota at Tampa Bay. The lone game in Florida tonight. Minnesota at Tampa Bay.
Tampa.
×2. The Chicago Blackhawks at Buffalo. The postponed game. Here we go. Chicago at Buffalo.
Buffalo.
Today. Okay.
It's like with picking which kid is uglier.
I got it. Seattle at Edmonton.
Edmonton.
Of course, you're going to say that. I'll take Seattle. Toronto at Calgary. That is the game of the night. Leafs at Flames. We haven't talked about it.
It pains me terribly to say this, but I think Calgary's going to beat them.
No problem. I took the Leafs earlier. I'll take them now. We got to speed it up. Nashville at the LA Kings. Who wins?
LA. They'll win at home.
Okay, I agree. Arizona at Vancouver.
Vancouver.
Agreed. And the New York Rangers at the Vegas Golden Knights.
Vegas.
I'm sure there will. I'll take the Rangers. I'm sure there will be a welcome home video for Jonathan Quick, and his half a season he spent in Vegas. They had a video for Alex Lyons last night. He played 15 games for the Florida Panthers. They had a welcome back video for him last night.
The Panthers have a video night for everybody, every time.
Every team does. Okay, thanks. Great job, Serena.
That's it?
We're going to... Yeah, you're done. It's 40 minutes. Bye-bye. Sweet Annie O.D. Sweet Annie O.D. joins us next from Southern California. We're live on Game Plus Television, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
Text 902-518-3033. 902-518-3033. Pick up your phone and text RP, that's Rod Pedersen. Text 902-518-3033.
Did you know that you can help save a life? And you can start right now.
Stem cells from male donors increase chances of positive outcomes for patients, yet they only make up 40% of our registry.
Today, there are hundreds of people in Canada searching for their life-saving match.
You can be a patient's best hope. Be a hero by registering with Canadian Blood Services Stem Cell Registry now.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
I'm Bridget Lacquette. I'm a First Nation Olympic silver medalist, and I'm proud to represent Indigenous hockey players across Canada. Each year, hundreds of Canadians need a stem cell transplant from an unrelated donor to save their life. Anyone can have a hard time finding a stem cell match, but for Indigenous peoples, it can be even more difficult because just over 1% of prospective donors on Canada's stem cell registry are of Indigenous backgrounds. Be a hero. Join me in Hockey Gives Blood in helping to make a life-saving difference to those in need. Register today at blood.ca/beahero.
This is it. It all comes down to this rock. The hours in the gym, the weeks away from my family. This is what I've been training for. And all those voices trying to tear me down, I'm here to silence them. We've given everything we have for a chance to get everything we want.
Hi, my name's Logan Stanko.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
Business owners and marketers. Okay, we know you think we're pretty cool. That's why we want you to share in the coolness factor. Partner with the Rod Pedersen Show and market your business every weekday to sports lovers just like yourself. Take advantage of our many cost-effective commercial and promotional opportunities. Tell the world about your business. Yes, the world. Thanks to Game Plus TV and the Rod Pedersen Digital Network. Contact us today and find out how you can be a part of Canada's fastest-growing sports talk show, The Rod Pedersen Show.
Oh, yeah, he's back. Time for more of the Rod Pedersen Show.
Hey, we're live on Game Plus TV. We started a holy war here. Who would win a playoff series, Jets or Oilers? David from Winnipeg writes in and says, the Oilers have the greatest player on the planet for years. And what have they won since he's been there? From Bob, he writes, Corey Perry, Evander Kane, what's the difference? It's a broken organization. Jets hire character, Oilers hire bad characters. Ron in Calgary says, I'd love to see Corey Perry in Edmonton. One more reason to hate the Oilers. Bill in Brantford, Ontario, the home of Wayne Gretzky. Bill says, Winnipeg is a home and home with the Leafs coming up. I would be surprised if the Leafs don't win both. The Leafs are much faster, and we'll show it. There's more, but I don't want to keep Sweet Annie waiting. I just looked up her Twitter. I love it. It just says creator. We could call her influencer, analyst, whatever. She just talks about hockey on social media and has fun doing it. What's up, Annie?
How you doing, Rod? Long time no talk.
Hey, I think about you often. I see you often with all the stuff that you're creating there. And the reason I think about it is like the Ducks. I want to cheer for them. I really do. They can't seem to get out of their own way. What is the deal?
It's a young team, but it doesn't help that, I mean, the injury bug has just completely taken over this team. I mean, you get one guy in, another guy goes out, and it's been that way. I mean, Alex Killorn started the season on the IR with a broken finger, I believe. And then from there, Zegras, Drysdale went out early, and then you get Leo Carlson out for a bit. I mean, Mason McTavish, your guy who we got to talk about while we're here for sure, went out for a good bit. Just off and on, it's absolutely nuts. And, you know, for a young team, how can you expect them to build any chemistry and to kind of build off each other when everybody's going in and out? Also, Pavel Mintyukov now on, I think, 4 to 6 weeks. He was shoulder, I believe, because, Zegras was down on the ankle. He had surgery. I can't keep track of all the injuries, but it was disappointing because, you know, they obviously had a really hot start in October and everyone's thinking, all right, you know, now maybe the rebuild is kind of speed rocketing here. It's coming on faster than people think. And then, you know, kind of November, December timeframe, the wheels kind of fell off the wagon there, which, you know, is disappointing, obviously, but it's also a reminder that, hey, this team is still very young. And despite, you know, the additions, I mean, Frank Vetrano obviously having a 20-plus goal season so far, super exciting. But, you know, this team, there's still a lot of meshing to do and obviously a lot of growth. And now we're getting near the trade deadline. So, of course, with the Ducks record, names are being tossed around. And, you know, with the news last week, was that last week already? With Jamie Drysdale going off to the Flyers. Doesn't feel like a week ago, but it was. You know, it's while on ice play isn't that great, I mean, the Ducks are always in the news for some reason. So, yeah,
Frank the Tank, the Ducks all-star now with Getzlaf retiring. There's a lot to get to with Annie. I hope you enjoyed. Well, I know you enjoyed the hockey for breakfast on Martin Luther King Day because your Ducks won. 1 o'clock start here. Absolutely. Would have been like 10 a.m. yours there, 5-4 Ducks in overtime.
I love it.
Yeah. But I got to ask you your take on the Ducks acquiring Cutter Gauthier. torched, lit on fire in Philadelphia, and you give up a Canadian World Junior hero and Jamie Drysdale. What's your take on that whole situation?
I think like most of us, I was shocked. And for one, I think the most shocking thing, and you probably can agree being in the media, is that nobody knew about it. We had no sources, no inkling, no whispers that, hey, there might be a trade coming or something's going on in Philly where they got to move Gauthier. Like, it just in 2024, that just doesn't happen. So the fact that this was kept so under wraps, and like, you know, I think it was the Ducks were the first team to drop the bomb that this trade. I literally had to read it twice to see that it was Jamie Drysdale, because that was just, I did not expect him to be moved. And if you think about it, given the prospects and how deep the Ducks blue line prospect pool is, you have to think, yeah, they probably weren't going to be able to hang on to everybody, and that, you know, you got to move some pieces in order to add elsewhere. But never did I think it would be Jamie Drysdale. And it's part of me, it's unfortunate because he was just impacted by injury so long that, you know, we really didn't get to see much of him, especially, you know, he was gone most of last year. I think he went out, I want to say late October. That was that game against Vegas. He got injured and was out for the year. So, you know, he really didn't I don't think he got a fair chance to really develop here. So hopefully, I hope he does well in Philly. I hope they treat him well. And it sounds like Torts is very excited about him. I am stoked about Cutter Gauthier, though. I think this is such a great addition to the Ducks prospect pool. And the fact that he is going to come and sign after the Boston College season is over, which, you know, I think they're the number 1 ranked team, if I'm not mistaken. So that season will probably go into, you know, late March, early April timeframe with the Frozen Four. But the Ducks prospect pool really lacked a pure goal scorer. And that's what I think people were kind of hoping to get with a Connor Bedard or an Adam Fantilli in the draft. So a little shocker there with Leo Carlson, who we're absolutely stoked with. Don't get me wrong there. But looking at the prospect pool and the forwards there, they needed a pure goal scorer, and that's what Cutter Gauthier brings. And just, you know, the whole situation, obviously, we don't know what the reason was for the miscommunication there. So I'm not going to make any assumptions, and, you know, I guess people already are. But, you know, at the end of the day, it sounds like he's excited to come and be a part of the young future at Anaheim, and we're excited to have him.
You know what I enjoy the most? Your digs at Frank Saravelli, the baby-faced assassin. Because he's not a guy that I would want to get in a pissing match with, yet you're not afraid. You don't care. What's your deal with Frank Saravelli?
I mean, he doesn't know I exist. I know the Daily Face-Off does follow me on certain social platforms, so maybe he does, but I don't think he really knows that I exist for the most part. So yeah, I have no problem taking digs at him. But it just, for me, I don't like these insiders and analysts that kind of come out and just, they want to be first for something rather than be accurate. And they care most about being, the first one to have this. And frankly, most of the stuff that he's reported about, specifically towards the Ducks, has not been accurate. Like the whole thing this past summer with, you know, John Gibson has said that I have played my last game as an Anaheim Duck. And then John Gibson goes on another podcast, not even Frank's, and says that is not at all true. Obviously, he's frustrated with the situation at Anaheim. Obviously, he wishes things were different with the team in front of him, but he has never once said or requested a trade or anything like that. So when Frank comes out and he stirs the pot, especially lately with this Zegras trade that apparently, you know, Zegras' name has been involved in trades. And, you know, I understand that. That's, you know, maybe Pat Verbeek and other GMs are putting out proposals. And I think every player, I mean, I'm sure there's tons of trades that we don't know about that have happened, that players' names have been tossed around. But of course, he reports that. And now every single hockey podcast, every single hockey media outlet is talking about Zegras trade proposals and why, he's on the chopping block. He's going to be traded at the deadline. It's just like, where did this come from? And then people come out and say, hey, that's not happening. Like, Zegras is not on the trading block. It doesn't make sense for the Ducks to move on from him right now. So, yeah, he's not my favorite analyst. I mean, I don't know him personally, obviously, so he could be a great guy, great character, but just as a hockey insider professional, he's not my favorite.
That's cool. Hey, I appreciate you explaining that. Now, you might have seen us talking about Corey Perry potentially going to the Oilers. You'd have grown up watching him with the Ducks. At this stage of his career, would you sign him for a run if you were a contending team?
1000%. Oh my goodness. The fact people that say they don't want Corey Perry on their playoff team are just in denial. I mean, why? For league minimum, you got a prorated league minimum contract. You need to add something to that bottom six. A depth winger. He knows how to make plays. Incredible hockey IQ. We know he loves to get in those dirty spaces. He's not afraid to get under guys' skin. Why wouldn't you want a guy like that on your team? Those are the guys that these GMs are looking to add at the deadline. And he knows how to win in the playoffs. And everyone wants to bring up, oh, he was in the Stanley Cup final 3 times recently and he lost all 3 times. That man has a Stanley Cup, first of all. A lot of people forget that, apparently. And secondly, like, he didn't lose those cups for his team. Like, he wasn't responsible for that. So, if you're any team looking to at least get a little more veteran presence, if you're up against the cap, I mean, there's so many situations where, he would just be a perfect fit. I think there's a lot of teams he would be a great fit on, Edmonton being one of them. I know there's some mutual interest with him in Toronto, which makes sense. I mean, he's from Ontario, played for the London Knights. The Rangers need some bottom 6 help. Wouldn't hate him there. I even joked about the Penguins for a bit to reunite with Jeff Carter and Sidney Crosby from that World Juniors roster back in 2005, although that would I don't think that helps the Penguins get their getting younger problem. But the man's 38 years old, but even with his short time with the Blackhawks, he was still incredibly productive. So I'm not shocked at all that there's teams rumored to be interested in him, and they absolutely should be.
Well, Annie, we've come to the end of our time. I have more, but we'll have to bring you on sooner than later to do it again. But your numbers are growing. I love that so that tells me people love what you're doing. You call out the haters, which is always fun. I can't believe you have any, but I also know when you're doing something good, you're going to have them. They unfortunately go hand in hand. That really tells me that you're doing great. So thanks for the update from the West Coast. Next time we'll talk Kings. But thanks, Andy. Where can people follow you? Let's tell them that.
Well, anytime. It's always a pleasure chatting with you, Rod. They can find me on any social platform at Sweet Annie OD, posting sports content every day. I also love rock and roll and all sorts of other stuff. So, yeah, it's always a good time. All right. The Metallica Barbie, Sweet Annie. Have a good one. Enjoy the hockey. Sweet, Sweet Annie OD joining us. We'll be right back with a sports update and a viewer takeover when we return. We're live on Game Plus Television across all of Canada and 31 U.S. states, WQEE Radio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube Live.
The sports landscape continues to change, and teams and facilities are under more pressure to provide online and in-venue entertainment. They need the right team to deliver their product. Look no further than IKS Live. We provide service across North America and produce the best fan experience across all platforms.
Does this look familiar? Your fans deserve an incredible arena experience. It's time for an upgrade. Stunning graphics. Revenue opportunities are just the beginning with our in-venue display systems and scoring technology. Let us help you find the best solution for your facility. EDG, always delivering the best fan experience.
Hi, my name's Logan Stankoven.
And I'm Connor Bedard.
We're both Hockey Gives Blood player ambassadors and proud to be blood donors.
There are thousands of patients each year in Canada that rely on a generous stranger to save their life.
Please book an appointment today to donate blood at blood.ca/HGB.
IKS Game Day wishes to congratulate the city of Estevan and Affinity Place on their brand new center ice display. This state-of-the-art score clock features 5 LED faces with full motion graphics, scoring integration, and our new Halo mounting system. If it's time for an upgrade, let us show you how to deliver the best fan experience. You can find us at iksgameday.com.
Here's how your business can be a part of Canada's fastest growing sports talk show. All you have to do is contact us, and we will tell you all about the dynamic and exciting marketing opportunities we have, utilizing a fully integrated 360-degree multi-platform. Imagine your business seen and heard across Canada on Game Plus TV and around the world on the Rod Peterson Digital Network. You will use one of the most overused expressions in sports. You gotta be kidding me. Get your business involved. Contact the Rod Peterson Show today.
You got something to say? You want to add to the show? What are you waiting for? Don't just sit there. Say something. Now, back to the studio with Rod.
Hey, everybody. As you should know by now, Overtime's brought to you by our friends at Overtime Hockey Lanes in Calgary. They got so many exciting things going on. I follow them very closely, where skill and fun collide. Baseball's got batting cages. Golf has driving ranges. Why wouldn't you have shooting lanes for hockey? Well, they've come up with it. The only in Canada, right, Randy and Michelle? Send yourselves down there and tell them I sent you. And follow their social media channels, Overtime HL, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. And just head down there and give me a report on what you find. I just have so much fun there. Also want to remind you that Canada's top men's curling teams are thick into their season. They all have their eyes on heading to Regina in March for the 2024 Montana's Brier presented by AGI. Single draw tickets range in price from $24 to $70, depending on the draw and where the seat is in the house. But youth tickets are just $9.99 for all draws and any seats. Curling Canada is committed to providing affordable options so the entire family can enjoy this world-class event. Get your tickets now. Don't wait. Curling.ca/tickets. I swear I did not mean to start the war. A lot of times I do mean to start it. In this case, I didn't mean to start the war. Oilers fans versus Jets fans, who would win a playoff series? Smelling a good poll question there. Because right now, for Key Auto Group, the poll question is, who's the best Canadian team in the NHL? And running away with it, last I saw, over 60%, it's the Winnipeg Jets. There you go, boys. Key Auto Group, check them out. Key Yorkton Kia, Yorkton Toyota, Key Cadillac, Key Chevrolet, the Key Auto Group. Check them out online, keyautogroup.ca. Somebody wrote in here, it's actually Randy, I think, from Winnipeg, said, the Oilers lead the odds. If you really care, some betting sites have the Oilers as the top team in Canada to win the Stanley Cup as it stands today. Steve, watching in Melfort, writes in, he says, hi, Edmonton does not have depth like Winnipeg. Look what happened last year when Edmonton played a depth team in the playoffs. They got shut down and embarrassed. Wilf in Steinbach, Manitoba writes in, he says, the team with the best depth goes further in the playoffs. The Jets have more depth than the Oilers. I think it's the team that scores more goals. No? David in Winnipeg has sent in a lot of comments. He says, anyone who opposes Serena's opinion better wear a flak jacket and a cup. Her bark's worse than her bite. Trust me. By the way, later on today, our Cats and Bolts podcast is dropping, where we talk Florida NHL hockey. Doug McLean is our guest this week. Follow our social media channels for that. It's something. It really is. While I load up the text comments, What do we got for a sports update here? Gary Trent Jr. wasn't going to miss his opportunity or any baskets as emotions ran high in the Raptors locker room last night. Gary Trent, my favorite Raptor, hit a season-high 28 points as Toronto stunned the Miami Heat 121-97. That was hours after the Raptors traded all-star forward Pascal Siakam to the Pacers. Gary spent most of the year on the Raptors bench. Looks like that's changing. And the Winnipeg Blue Bombers have traded quarterback Drew Brown to the Ottawa Redblacks for a 5th-round pick in this spring's CFL draft. Brown's scheduled to become a free agent February 13th. By trading for him, Redblacks GM Sean Burke can negotiate a new contract with Brown ahead of any other team. The sports updates for Landmark Cinemas in theaters now. The Beekeeper, starring Jason Statham, Josh Hutcherson, Jeremy Irons, Dan Lee, Minnie Driver, and Felicia Rashad. That cast alone should have you running to Landmark Cinemas to check out The Beekeeper. We're also brought to you by Common Crown Brewing Company, turning your everyday common beer into a unique and exceptional experience. Visit commoncrown.ca. Dale in Winnipeg says, yikes, a few too many contradictions there. Enjoy the show, you guys. To add content, the Jets were a lesser team during the sweep, yet they beat the Oilers. It's the same Oilers. Is it the same Jets? Yeah, the contradictions, that's the whole idea, Dale in Winnipeg. That's what we do. People tend to like that. Jeff in Yorkton says it all depends on the goalie. If Skinner's on fire, then the Oilers will win. If Hellebuck's on fire, then the Jets. Pretty simple, eh? Jeff, the Stamps fan, says can't wait for football Friday tomorrow. I know you can't, Jeff. We'll delve a little more into the Arlen Bruce IV situation. Jim Barker's going to be with us. I don't remember who else. But you all wait all week for it, and you got 22 hours to wait to enjoy it. Have a great one, everybody. Enjoy the game. See you tomorrow, noon Eastern.
Who has more fun than us?